Have you ever gotten to the end of a workday and just felt completely fried? Like you've run a marathon, but all you did was sit at your desk? Yeah, you are definitely not alone. And that feeling of being totally overwhelmed, it isn't just in your head. It's a real biological thing happening in your body. And it turns out, one of the best ways to fight back isn't some new productivity app, but a really old idea: setting a boundary.
So let's kick things off with a number: 57%. According to a LendingTree survey, that's the percentage of people who are quiet quitting and say their work-life balance has actually gotten better because of it. But let's be clear about what quiet quitting really is.
It's not about being lazy or slacking off. Not at all. It's a direct response to this always-on work culture, this chronic stress we're all under, where the lines between your job and your life have just completely evaporated. It's people making a conscious choice to do the job they were hired for. And that's it. It's a form of self-preservation. And it's a huge red flag that the way we're working is causing a very real, very physical problem.
To really get why this is happening, we need to pop the hood and look at our own biology. Because that feeling of stress, well, that's your body's ancient, hardwired alarm system screaming at you.
This whole process is called the HPA axis. You can just think of it as your body's internal emergency broadcast system. So when your brain senses a threat, and that threat could be a tiger or, just another urgent email from your boss, it kicks off a chain reaction. The hypothalamus pings the pituitary gland, which then tells the adrenal glands, go time. And that's when they release the main event: cortisol.
Cortisol is basically your body's emergency fuel. It floods you with energy, sharpens your focus, and gets you ready to handle whatever is coming at you. Super helpful, right? But here's the catch. Our modern work emergencies, the endless pings, the back-to-back meetings, they never stop. And when that helpful hormone is always switched on, it becomes a serious, chronic problem.
And that brings us to the real, hidden cost of a workday that never seems to end. I mean, what happens to any security system if the alarm is just blaring 24/7? Eventually, it starts to break down, and our bodies are no different.
And I'm not just talking about a metaphor here. This isn't just a feeling. Scientists can literally measure the physical damage that this constant work stress does to our bodies, right down to the cellular level.
Take this, for example. A study looked at over 43,000 workers, and what they found was that people with high work stress had a higher white blood cell count. Now that is a key sign of systemic inflammation. It basically means your body's defense system is working overtime, constantly fighting a battle that never, ever ends.
And it doesn't stop there. It's like a domino effect. Research links chronic work stress to a whole list of nasty health outcomes: a higher BMI, lower good cholesterol, a weaker immune system, and even lower heart rate variability, which is just a fancy way of saying your nervous system is losing its ability to chill out. And it all leads to the same place: total emotional exhaustion and, you guessed it, burnout.
Okay, so the evidence is pretty overwhelming, right? The problem is real. It is biological. But, and this is a big but, there is a solution, and it's all about taking back control. It's about learning how to draw your own property lines at work.
So how do you actually do it? How do you tell your body's alarm system that the threat is gone and it's safe to power down? Well, you build a fence. You set a boundary.
I love this quote from the psychologist Dr. John Townsend because it completely flips how we usually think about boundaries. We think they're about pushing people away or being difficult, but they're not. They're about defining what is actually yours to manage: your time, your energy, your emotions. And in that definition, you find freedom.
That property line analogy is just perfect. Think about it. A good fence doesn't just keep things out. It creates a safe space inside where you can relax and thrive. And it's the exact same thing at work. Clear boundaries create psychological safety. Everyone knows the rules, everyone knows where they stand, and you can all do your best work without worrying about stepping on toes or being taken advantage of.
Okay, so theory is great, but let's get down to brass tacks. How do you actually do this? Well, here's a blueprint with 4 key types of boundaries you can start putting up today.
First up, physical boundaries. This is all about your personal space and your physical self. And let's be real, this has gotten way more complicated in the age of remote work and constant video calls.
Look, you have a right to control your own space and your own image. Simple little phrases like saying you'll be camera off for a call or just asking a coworker to knock, these aren't aggressive. They're just clarifying. They send a clear signal that your physical presence is yours to manage.
Next up, and this one is absolutely crucial for avoiding burnout, we have emotional boundaries. This is all about protecting your own energy. You are not a limitless resource for everyone else's stress.
The trick here is to be both empathetic and firm. A phrase like this shows the other person you hear them, but you're also being honest about your own capacity. You're not shutting them down. You're just protecting your own peace while showing you still care.
The third type is all about your thoughts and your ideas. Intellectual boundaries are about protecting your right to be heard, to have your work respected, and to disagree without it turning into a huge fight.
These are amazing tools for navigating those tricky conversations. Politely asking to finish your thought before someone jumps in? That's not rude, it's productive. And suggesting you both take a break when things get heated? That's a super powerful way to de-escalate and protect the conversation and the relationship.
And finally, we have the one that is probably the most violated boundary in the modern workplace: your time. This is about reclaiming your right to actually disconnect and to be in charge of how your time is spent.
Being crystal clear is the name of the game here. Stating your offline hours, politely saying no when you're overcommitted, or just setting expectations for when people can expect a reply, these are not selfish acts. They are essential for sustainable work. This is how you tell your body's stress alarm that it is finally safe to power down.
So let's bring it all home. Chronic work stress isn't just a mood, it's a physiological threat. And boundaries, they're your biological defense system. They're the off switch for that screaming internal alarm, giving you the space to actually recover. They're not walls that box you in. They're the lines that define a space where you can thrive. They create freedom. So the only real question left is, what will you do with yours?